This is the first one set on the planet of New Earth.
In the city of New York.
5,023,000,000 years in the future.
Rose and the Doctor go on a date.
Where evil,
Ish.
cat,
Ish.
nuns,
Ish.
run a hospital.
And a foe from the past plans revenge.
It's called New Earth.
Here we meow.
We're still on our endless voyage, all through time and all through space.
With Levine and angels now, Daleks, Cybers, and wow.
Tennant, Smith and Eccleston, Gallifrey, where it all began.
Doctor Who is cool again, that was Russell's master plan.
Who back when? Reviewing all new Who there is. Who back when?
Subscribe and rate on iTunes, please.
Rose and Donna, Amy Pond, Rory, Martha and beyond. Join us on this odyssey, what other choice could there be than Who back when? Who back when?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another fantabulously bodacious episode of Who Back When, a Doctor Who podcast. I am Ponkin, who else would I be? And with me tonight is JD.
Hello.
How you doing, dude?
I'm fine.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. So am I, thanks for asking. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are reviewing New Earth. Holy crap, it's got cat-nun-nurses. It's rebonkulous. It is crazy.
It is crazy. Yes, that is one very, very good way of describing this episode.
Yeah. This is the first proper Tennant episode.
Yeah, it's certainly the one with Tennant's in for more than 15 minutes.
15 minutes, exactly. Shall we jump into a B-scow?
Yes, let's bescow away. The 10th Doctor and Rose head further than they've ever gone before, namely to New Earth, in the year 5,023,000,023, where there are flying cars and apple grass.
There they visit a hospital staffed by part nuns, part women, and part cats, and where we meet a couple of familiar faces. In fact, one familiar face in particular.
The cat, woman, nun, nurse things are curing every disease known to intelligent life in the universe, which really confounds the Doctor.
And while he investigates that, Rose gets herself entangled in a body swap comedy starring the last human alive. End of B-scow.
And you're welcome.
Yes, you are.
So, this follows on pretty much directly from the end of the Christmas invasion, because the Doc and Rose basically leave Earth, and Mickey appears in the episode for about 4 seconds.
Yeah.
Which probably pleases you quite a lot.
It does. What pleases me even more is that the look of disappointment on his face in the beginning when Rose finally leaves. Like, basically, the episode opens with Rose saying goodbye to her mom and to her boyfriend, or whatever he is at this point. I don't know what he is to her. Not really her boyfriend. I don't think so, given what we're going to be talking about in about 5 minutes' time. But she's packed her bags, she's looking like she's off to do like an interrail trip, and then she jumps in the TARDIS, they say goodbye, blah 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 blah. She says I love you to her mum.
Oh yeah.
Mickey Ricky says I love you to
love
her.
You back. And Rose just goes bye bye.
Bye bye, I hate you, you cheat. And then they TARDIS away. I think already at this stage there is romantic chemistry between Tennant and Rose.
Oh, this is completely different. They are literally lying on the ground, in the grass, looking across at the map painting of New York, and they're reminiscing about, in a way, the prequel to this episode, which was End of the World.
Yeah.
As we'll find out, there's quite a lot of links to that. Rose said, the year 5 billion, that's when my planet exploded. And, well, yeah, that was our first date. The Doctor
just smiles.
Doesn't dispute that like Eccleston would have done.
Not at all.
And he goes, oh yeah, it was off. We had chips.
Yeah, and wait, hang on. Does she not even say something like, all these trips that we go on, I really love them. I love going on these adventures with you.
Yeah, I love traveling with you. Absolutely love it. And the Doctor says, me too.
Yeah, they are this is already a date.
It is, and I have a slight problem with it already.
Really? Oh, tell me, what is it?
Because when you look back, and we've obviously just done Eccleston, we've gone through his 13 episodes.
Yeah.
There is no indication that he was in love with Rose.
No,
or they were going on a date.
Yeah.
Right?
But do you not reckon that that's maybe the result of either viewer feedback or some cocaine-fueled board meeting at the BBC in between series? Because very clearly this new series, the second series of of the Doctor Who revival, it starts off on a different tangent. It's like, hang on, we've got a new Doctor. Yeah. What did we do wrong the first time around? What do people want to see that don't necessarily know Doctor Who from the 60s? They want to see a love story. That's what everyone watches TV for. Let's get them to fall in love.
It does come across that it's quite false, because Rose's character is much more in love with the Doctor.
Yeah.
Now, she was clearly infatuated with Eccleston, but he has been Tennant for, at this point, maybe a day and a half. You know, if it follows on directly from Christmas Invasion.
Yeah.
And she's googly-eyed. And she's referring back to her time with Eccleston as a date. Whereas in Christmas Invasion...
She never... Sorry, go for it.
She was just not even almost entertaining the fact that this was the Doctor. You know, because she said right at the start, oh, he's left me.
Yeah, you know? But she did... Yeah, exactly. But she did also say, like, oh, I thought we were a sort of, I guess, insert item here. So even at that point, but that is already the new season. That's already series 2. So even at that point, they were trying to finagle some romance into this situation. I'm glad they did, by the way. I think it works really, really well, but it seems mightily ham-fisted.
Probably more ham-fisted because we're watching this a couple of weeks after we've just finished watching Eccleston. We're not sort of talking about a year apart.
Yeah, okay, that's very true. Anyway, so they're on the grass, they're watching the city of New York. We get the explanation of after the Earth having been blown up in End of the World, mankind still thrived. Like, they still went off into the universe and found different planets, this planet they're on now, in the galaxy M87, which they colonized. I've got a question for you. So,
okay.
In the End of the World, in the episode, The End of the World, which is set before this episode, I can't remember what year it was in End of the World. It was something with Apple in it, but I don't know what it is numerically.
I think this is like a couple of years after that.
Yeah, exactly. It's shortly thereafter.
Oh, actually, I think it's meant to be 23 years.
Oh, after. You know what? That makes perfect sense. Sense. Okay, so 23 years ago, they blew up the Earth. And the last human in existence, the only human in existence, was Lady Cassandra, who was a skinhead. She was just a flat face. That's it.
Correct.
How could mankind still go off into the universe and find a different planet to colonize?
You can rationalize that fairly easily. If you try, you shouldn't have to.
Okay.
But I can.
Let's do it.
Which is, she is the last purebred human.
Okay, no, that is true.
She is the last human that hasn't interbred with other species from Earth.
Okay. No, that's very true. I think that's a very good point.
I am reaching, because where you do see humans in the future, right up to Utopia, which is the end of the universe, so way after this episode.
Yeah. I don't remember that episode, by the way.
Oh, it's very good.
Okay.
You have humans there. You know, humans exist until the end of the heat death of the universe, and that's what the Doctor says. So, to be honest, we can rationalize this fairly easily as Cassandra's a bit of a snob.
Yeah. Well, that we already knew. And, spoiler alert, we're going to find out even more about that. Speaking of Lady Cassandra, as the Doc and Rose are laying on the grass, admiring the flying cars and whatever, smelling the apple grass, a very familiar-looking metal spider pops up. It is the exact same kind of metal spider that we encountered in N015, The End of the World. That Lady Cassandra had the something of the repeated meme, the Fellowship of the repeated meme, the Brotherhood of the repeated meme.
The adherents.
Oh, nice one. Meme. The adherents of the repeated meme disseminate among the guests on the space station at the time. And this metal spider is spying on them. Weirdly, they don't notice, but it's spying on them. And at the other end of this metal spider's controls, somewhere in the city, we hear and we see Lady Cassandra. She is still alive, even though she blew up in N002. She is still alive, and she is now bossing around her weird tattooed slave, Chip.
I like Chip.
I love Chip. I think whoever it is that plays Chip, he is doing a fantastic job.
Oh, yeah. You know...
Especially, spoiler alert, at the end.
Oh, yes. I don't really like the cat-nuns. We'll come on to the cat-nuns shortly.
I hate the cat-nuns. It's fucking dumb.
Oh, good. It's not just me, then.
Yeah. No, that's just plain dumb. Anyway.
Okay, well, tell you what, let's get on to the cat-nuns.
Let's do that. But before we do that, let's get a sound bite. I suggest because I'm just going to suggest 2 sound bites, actually 3 sound bites in this entire episode, and 2 out of 3 sound bites are very much in line with each other. We're starting with Lady Cassandra. She's looking at Rose and the Doctor through her camera, through the spider robot camera, recognizes them, and she says...
Sound bite.
Sound bite.
This is destiny. At last I can be revenged on that little...
Bit rich coming from you.
Great couple of quotes there. So nicely finagled together. Anyway, the Doctor says he wants to go to a hospital, and he shows us something that I think you need to tell us about. He shows us the psychic paper, and we actually get to read some text on the psychic paper.
Correct. Someone has managed to send the doctor a message which said, Ward 26, please come. Onto the psychic paper through space and time.
That doesn't happen a lot.
There are references to it later on, but no, because this is some... It probably should have actually had a bigger deal made out of it than they actually did, because the Doctor would normally have gone, this is utterly impossible. Whoever does this must have massive psychic powers.
Yeah, exactly.
But he just basically says, someone wants to see me.
Yeah. Okay. Cut to the hospital. Oh. It is being run by the Sisters of Plenitude. Let's explain who these good sisters are. They are nuns who also happen to be kinda human, in a way, humanoid.
They're
Anthropomorphized?
Yeah, that's the word I'm going for. Cats. They are basically cat nuns.
They're cat nuns. Why? And also, I'm not entirely sure. I think we get an explanation later on in the episode, but I don't really remember what's said, or possibly I didn't get it at the time. Were they already indigenous to this planet when the humans arrived, or did they arrive with the humans?
They're cat nuns. Frankly, there are too many logical problems with being cat nuns.
I absolutely want to know what this is about, because, okay, if they were indigenous to the planet, then that makes more sense to me. But if they came with the humans, and as in like the impure humans, and you could consider them to be impure as well, because they're clearly part cat, right? There is really only one explanation for this, and that is that mankind started to bang their pet cats.
Evolution.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Because we can go along the evolution route of the cat from Red Dwarf.
Okay, I like that. That is a great reference as well. Yeah. I like that. That's good.
But I don't think it's stated in the episode anyway.
Is it not though? Later on. Okay, we'll get to it.
Let's continue, and I might remember, but
I just think it's so incredibly funny to picture this scene where future humans are going, "Oh, we are so futuristic and refined," plowing a cat. I think that's hilarious. But I like your theory. I think that actually probably makes more sense. But I prefer my theory. Anyway, okay, let's cut to the hospital.
So basically the Doc gets in a lift.
Yeah.
And Rose gets in a different lift.
Yeah.
And we get comedy disinfectant.
Yes, we do. And it's hilarious. It's part hilarious, part crazy sexy. I'm sorry, I think when the hairdryers come on and Rose starts to enjoy herself. Massively erotic scene.
Okay,
I'm kidding. It is a little bit erotic, but I think it is genuinely a fun scene, especially the Doctor who's like, he's basically shampooing his hair.
Oh yeah, he's enjoying it. He's used to this.
Yeah.
So our lifts go 2 separate ways. They don't go to the same place. The Doc gets to where he's going, and Rose goes and meets our friend Chip.
Yeah, and by the way, the reason they're going in separate ways is because Chip, the servant of Cassandra, he's basically Emilio Estevez in Mission Impossible wand the lifts and controlled Rose to come down to Cassandra.
But Rose is instantly suspicious and basically just really doesn't trust him, so picks up a metal bar and looks like she's going to hit him over the back of the head, but doesn't quite yet.
No. Cut to the Doctor, who is now encountering one of the cat nuns, Sister Jat, who takes him on this this like weird guided tour of one of the wards, in which everyone seems to be suffering from some terrible, horrific, horrendous malaise. Like one of the most awful and painful and lethal plagues in the universe, the symptoms of which appear to be to render the patient a different color. Because there's one guy suffering from one disease, he's red. There's another guy suffering from another disease, he's green. And then there's another one, he's grey. But he is, I think, very cool. He's turning into stone. That's his disease.
Oh, this is a Duke of Manhattan who has petrifold regression.
Yes.
And he's turning into a stone, which is, oddly enough, what will end up happening to Amy when she is infected by the image of an angel in, I believe, the Time of Angels.
Awesome trivia. Nice. Okay.
So basically, the nun says, oh yeah, he's turning into stone, but don't worry, he'll be fine soon. And the doctor goes, well, hold on. There's going to be no cure of that for another 1,000 years. So this is where the doctor starts to get a little tad suspicious of what's going on.
Yeah.
So he sends cat-nun-1 off to go and find Rose, who's apparently lost.
Yeah.
And leaving the doctor with cat-nun number 2.
Okay.
Who is, as I will differentiate them, not nice cat-nun and nice cat-nun.
Okay. Frankly, don't want to seem racist. They all appear to be the same to me. Like, they all look the same to me. I get that they're different. They're cats, okay? They are cats. I'm a dog person.
But nice cat-nun says something really interesting about the Face of BOE, which is
yes.
Hind, who sent the message on the psychic paper.
Yeah.
She says that the Face of BOE is dying of old age, and she says he's thousands of years old. Some people say millions, although that is impossible. And we'll put a pin in that for approximately a season and 3/4. And we'll come back to that at the end of season 3.
Yes. And they don't actually even talk to each other now, because the Face of BOE is... essentially, he's asleep.
He's asleep. But I do have something about the two cat-nun type-ish people.
Oh, okay.
Nice cat-nun, who's Norris Haim.
Yes.
She is played by a lady called Anna Hope. Okay. Now, Haim will reappear. She'll reappear in an episode called Gridlock, which will be next season, as Haim. But Anna Hope also...
Is that the one with all the flying cars that are just like...
Correct.
Yeah, and there's like... are they atop a massive turtle or something? No, a whale. It's a space animal of some... Oh, I'm thinking of...
No, you're thinking of the Beast Below. Gridlock is everyone is in the tunnels under New Earth, and there is Macra beneath them, who are giant crabs.
Oh, that! Oh, bingo. Okay, yes.
And Nurse Haim, played by Anna Hope, will reoccur in that. But that's not the interesting bit. Okay. She's also played another reoccurring character in Doctor Who, this time in the audiobooks. She played Detective Inspector Menzies in 3 Sixth Doctor audiobooks, including The Crimes of Thomas Brewster.
Very cool.
So she also, she's done basically 2 episodes of this and 3 audiobooks.
Is that something that we're going to be reviewing anytime soon?
No, they are very far away from where we are. But more interesting is Evil Cat-nun.
Oh, really? Okay, Sister Jat.
Yes, Sister Jat is played by Adio Andoa.
Okay.
Whose name I've probably mangled. Who will go on to play Martha Jones's mother, Francine Jones. In season 3. So she will become a reoccurring character in season 3.
Okay, very cool. That's really, really cool, actually.
So now we skip down to
the basement.
Cassie and Rose having a little bit of a
face-off.
Do you know what? Nothing I can say can describe it better than that.
Thanks.
We discover that Chip basically is Gollum, and in fact Rose calls him Gollum.
Yeah.
I worship the mistress.
She's my precious.
And Zoe Wanamaker as Cassandra is still doing her moisturize me.
Yes. Oh, by the way, in this episode we get to see a spoiler alert. We get to see Zoe Wanamaker sans CGI.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, now I know who she is. Now I get it. I'd completely forgotten what she looks like in real life. Nice. Yes, very recognizable actor or actress.
They have actually there's a really good scene together. And Cassandra basically says to Rose, Rose asks, well, how come you're still alive? And then Cassandra says, what, you mean after you murdered me? It can't be murder if she's still alive. God, will people not get this right? It's not murder if there's no body.
Yeah, the brain survived, as did her eyes, and a piece of skin from the back of her body, which leads me to soundbite number 2.
Yeah, she's talking out of the soundbite.
Let's have a bite of sound, shall we?
You got ripped apart.
That piece of skin was taken from the front of my body. This piece is the back.
Right, so you're talking out your...
Ask not.
Perfect. And a lovely pendant to the first soundbite.
And now we get the answer to your question, which you had earlier.
Okay.
Which is why Cassandra is basically the last human, because she calls them mutant stock, that they've evolved and they've changed, and Cassandra has instead just become preserved and pickled and basically a flappy bit of skin.
As I said before, we get to see Zoe Wanamaker sans CGI as well. The way we get to see her, first off, is in a film. There's a home video, basically, being projected onto the wall of
Correct.
a party that was thrown for the ambassador of Thrace. Interesting that Thrace still around in the year 5 billion something. Whatever. Why is this video shot on 8mm? Why is there a projector? So far, we have had 3D holograms. We have this crazy huge hospital with flying cars. But this video that was shot by Lord knows whom, because seriously, why was it shot? Who filmed this? Yeah, is now being projected onto the wall in 8mm film.
I have no problem with half of that. I have no problem with who shot it.
Okay.
It's someone filming something at a party. Right? It's, we take selfies all the time.
Sure, on 8mm?
Yeah, that's my problem.
That's really weird.
This is like the reel-to-reel tape recorder in World War II again, right?
Yeah, but that kind of makes sense, because if you're not as informed about reel-to-reel tape recorders as you are, JD, then that kind of makes sense. I mean, I remember it making sense to me at the time. But this, in the year 5 billion and 23, I would rather imagine, or I would expect to see people with here's a video crystal, plop, and then holographic representation of the party.
The problem is, and it's a problem not limited to Doctor Who.
Okay.
The further into the future that you go, the less and less modern technology things should be. And we are talking about the year 5 million and 23.
Million, sorry.
Sorry, actually,
I thought it was billion.
Yeah, I've just realised it's...
Oh, it is billion?
Yeah, it is billion. Yeah, I've got my number of zeros wrong.
Okay,
it's
whatever.
5 billion and 23.
Yeah, well, in all fairness, I wouldn't expect that to be 8mm video or film reels in the year 5 million either.
Or the year 5000.
Yeah, exactly.
Or even
in the year 2014.
500. Exactly.
Yeah.
What you have here is a general science fiction problem, which is the further in the future that you go, the less realistic having modern technology is. We are talking about a time in the future which is more time than the Earth has existed ever. Actually, even been a planet.
Yeah.
And in the past 50 years, we have gone from black and white films to 3-dimensional HD widescreen.
Yeah.
So in the next 5 billion years, a reel-to-reel tape recorder becomes just a bit stupid. So what we're going to have to do is one of two things. We can either just say the reel-to-reel tape recorder is a bit silly, but we also should probably say that, well, Cassandra's brain in a jar should probably be pretty much immune to everything because they've got some super metal. The planet should actually not have any buildings which look like what they do because, where they look like fairly modern day buildings. Or there is actually another possibility.
It's just entertainment.
That wasn't what I was going to say, actually.
Oh, okay.
But that's actually what we should probably do.
No, you're right. That is completely true, and we shouldn't be so nitpicky, and I'm sorry about that. But
cyclical time is what I was going to suggest.
Okay, but in that case, why are they flying cars? Like, why aren't they flying around in Zeppelins rather than flying cars?
There was a Blake 7 episode.
Blake's.
And I'm not sure what it's called. I think it's called Traitor.
Okay.
The guy in it, and bear in mind, this is in an era of spacecraft able to go 15 times the speed of light, time distort 12 as the Liberator could.
Yeah.
And he was on a planet and he had a 1920s old car. And the reason he had it was for nostalgia, because it was something from the past, a relic that he liked. And Cassie here, maybe she likes reel-to-reel tape recorders because they're nostalgic for old Earth.
See, I thought that camera... I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we're spending a lot of time on this one little projector thingy. I thought it was there because it's a remnant of her past.
Yeah.
God knows how old she is, right? And the idea was, here's this old relic from her youth. And that is, like, in order to look into the past, she needs to use something from the past to convey that memory. But it just goes too far, in my opinion. Anyway, sorry, being nitpicky doesn't really matter.
A long story short on this scene, Cassandra and Rose swap bodies.
Yeah, and also, let's put a pin in this, because the way in which they swap bodies, this basically is now starring Jamie Lee Curtis, because Cassandra has a so-called psychograft, which she uses. This is a machine that holds Rose in place and then somehow transfers Cassandra's consciousness into Rose's body, right?
Correct.
Pin.
Okay. I'll happily put a pin in there. So now we have... Apparently, the rumor on this one is that whenever you have Billie Piper playing Rose possessed by Cassandra, she was wearing a push-up bra to make her sort of posture different.
Oh, really? Was that the only thing that the push-up bra made different?
Yeah, posture, yes.
Okay, yes. I don't want to sound like I have a one-track mind, but I really like her posture in this one.
So, after actually an incredibly good scene with Cassandra and Rose, we go back, unfortunately, to Cat-Nuns and the Doctor.
Yes. And we get the legend of the Face of BOE.
We do indeed, that he is the last one alive, and that he's watched the universe grow old.
This is the first time that we get the mention of BOE kind, by the way.
No, not quite.
Oh, maybe there is a mention in
There is a mention, because it's the Boina has had the Face of BOE has had a girl Boina or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was on Bad Wolf TV in the background.
Oh, okay. Oh, well spotted. But does this mean that there's a whole race of giant heads?
No, I have a feeling that this is all just myth. Myth and legend.
Oh, well done.
Mirrors. Because one story says that before his death, the Face of BOE will impart his great secret, that he will speak those words only to one like himself, to a wanderer, to the man without a home, the lonely god. And the reason why I've stated all of that is that's my pin again for season 3. So let's just remember that for another 13 episodes also.
Yeah. Okay. Fair, totally fair.
But by skipping over that, we can get back to Cassandra Rose.
Yeah, exactly. Rose's consciousness, we should say this, they haven't swapped bodies. Saying that this is a body swap comedy is actually a falsity, because Rose's consciousness is still inside her body. It's just being repressed, basically. And Cassandra's consciousness is now on top of that, controlling everything. But in doing so, she can also access some of Rose's memories, and in doing so, in turn, finds out that the Doctor is the Doctor. And there's a great little line here. I don't know if it's worth soundbiting, but there's a great little line here in which he goes, "That's the Doctor, he's got a new face, find out who his plastic surgeon is," or something to that effect. Anyway, Cassandra as Rose, or Rose as Cassandra, however you want to put this. Cassandros, Rosandra, Roseanne. Oh, I don't know. We'll think of something as we go along. Roseanne is now heading up to see the Doctor, and This is a fantastic scene.
Yeah, Chip has basically told Cassandra how to speak.
Yes. Oh, this is great.
And basically the doctor rings her on the superphone and says,
like, where are you?
Where the hell are you?
Yeah.
And because she's been taught how to speak Cockney by Chick, it's like, I'm on my way, governor. I shall proceed up the apples and burrs.
Yeah, and she does. She takes the apples and we get a fantastic scene. I love this scene. She just, all of it, I mean, he reacts to her speaking in a weird way, but she just cannot contain herself, gives him a massively passionate kiss, and then just walks off screen. And the look on Tennant's face as he, like, fixes his hair and then goes, yep, still got it, is priceless.
I do love it. And there was this thing about Billie Piper before season 1. It was like, you know, she's this teenage pop star who can't really act.
Yeah.
And she blatantly can, because
she really can.
In this scene, she is not playing Rose.
In fact,
she
in this
really
whole episode,
isn't.
she is doing a tremendous job.
Oh yeah, you know, and she's playing Cassandra Rose in a way better than she plays Rose, because it's such an amazing difference.
Yeah, she's making fun of herself. Like when she grabs her own boobs and goes, "Oh my god, I'm a chav." I mean, she's making fun of her own character, and she does it super well. Well done, Billie Piper. Well done. Great acting in this one.
So the Doc and Roseanne start exploring, because basically the Doctor is trying to deal with plot in this episode, while Roseanne is basically just being comic relief. And the Doctor's trying to actually solve the mystery of the episode, but frankly, no one cares about the mystery of the episode and the cat-nuns. All they care about is seeing more of Roseanne.
Yeah.
And
weirdly, Roseanne does start helping him to piece this together. Like, they go up to this weird computer, I guess. She starts explaining to him how to hack the system and find the... What is it? Is it the intensive care unit?
Yes.
Yeah. And the fact that she is so stuck in her convictions and that she's so aware of the situation and so capable, that definitely raises some suspicion.
Oh yeah, because she wouldn't know what a subframe installation protocol is.
Oh wow, is that the phrase? Nice.
Yeah. So basically, they go down into this underground... What's the best way to describe it?
It looks a little bit like the battery farms in The Matrix. Like you have all these pods all over the place. Like thousands upon thousands of them.
Then we get a slight thing which I have a slight problem with.
Okay.
Well, the Doctor looks at the people in these cells and goes, they're infected with every single disease in the galaxy.
Oh, I know, it's so dumb.
Okay, he's good, but he's not that good.
It's so dumb for several reasons. One is he's looked at this one person. He's not, like, taken its blood pressure and
he hasn't even sonicked them.
He's done absolutely nothing. He's just looked at someone, seen that they have some boils, which might as well be just a really bad case of acne, and just fucking judgmentally goes, this person has every single disease on the planet. Roseanne says, pretty gross. And that's it. That's the whole diagnosis. Well done, Doc. Yeah, nice doctoring. But I want to pop in another soundbite here.
Okay.
Because as he looks at this poor person in the pod, which apparently... Oh, sorry, I didn't even say. Sorry. The second reason why this is the dumbest thing ever is because if one person has every single disease in the world, which seems as though that's the case, like every single one of these is bred, spoiler alert, to have every single disease in the known world, why are they still alive? Like, that just makes no sense. Anyway,
right.
Whatever.
Well, go, so carry on.
Yeah, sorry. The soundbite anyway is the Doctor looks at this person, feels very bad, like empathizes with this person, and says something for the very first time in New Who. Soundbite.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Bada bing.
Okay. I have a bit more of a problem.
Okay.
To the point where I think you're being nice on this bit of the episode.
Okay, sorry, go for it.
So, he says, and bear in mind, he's not doing any checking here. He says the air is sterile. So don't touch the people, okay? So, A, they're infected with everything, which means, and he says
including airborne viruses and stuff.
Including airborne viruses.
Yeah.
So it's apparently only touching them which can transmit the diseases. They were born sick. They exist purely to be sick so that the sisters can use them to create a cure for everything.
Yeah. Something that pisses me off here, by the way, is whether they need to keep making sick people in order to cure everyone else. Once they've found a cure, why isn't that enough? Like, why can't they just reproduce that cure?
Not only that, because that's a very good question. And Roseanne points this out perfectly. She asks, why don't these people die? And the doctor says, well, plague carriers are always the last to go. No.
No.
Not always. You have some... You obviously have some diseases which your incubation period and, you know, it doesn't kill off the host. It takes time and that sort of thing. But these people are infected with everything.
Yeah, you're right. Every single thing.
Even things which should be instantly fatal to any body that is touched.
Yeah, in fact, one of the diseases that they managed to cure earlier on during that day was...
Petrifold regression.
It was that the one where they said, yeah, this is something that usually kills people within, like, a couple of hours.
Petrifold regression, turn to stone.
Yeah. So how can these people be super, like, they're adults?
This is not, unfortunately, the end of my issues, but the rest of the issues will come when we get to the curing of the diseases.
Oh, I cannot believe that happens in this episode. Okay, fine. Can I just say for the record, so far, despite all of the weird, illogical plot twists, I'm kind of enjoying this. So far, I'm thinking this is not a bad episode.
Bear in mind that I spent 15 minutes on a reel-to-reel tape recorder in what is my third favourite episode of New Who so far. So I'm with you on this one.
Okay.
So basically we now get Exposition Central with Nice Nurse Haim explaining that these are not real people. These are grown. They've grown these people to be plague carriers, to be infected with everything. And in order to create the inoculations, they need thousands each day because they obviously pulp them or something and turn them into some sort of goo.
I hadn't even considered that. That is gross. Whatever. The doctor is infuriated by this.
I'm infuriated by this.
Yeah. But he's also ticked off by something else. He goes, well, you know what? I can almost understand your motivations for doing that. But tell me something else. What the shit have you done with Roseanne? Because she is completely different. And then Roseanne reveals what is actually going on.
Yes. And, you know, she actually says, well, I knew something was going on in this hospital, but I needed this sexy, sexy body and to try and figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And then she basically knocks the doctor out with chloroform perfume.
Yeah. This is really weird. She has had the means to switch bodies forever. But only now does she do it. And the first thing she does is take that brand spanking new body to a disease pit. And anyway, whatever. She's now knocked out the dog. She pops the dog in an empty pod. Probably the same empty pod that we failed to mention earlier used to house one patient that was just incinerated by the cats in a little cutscene. So the doc is now in one of those pods. She goes, well, you know what? You're going to be injected or infected by all of these diseases in just a few minutes. You've got like maybe 2 or 3 minutes left to live. That's it. Have fun. And then she proceeds to try to blackmail the cat-nun-nurse creatures by saying, well, I'm going to tell the authorities and everyone about this weird place that you got here, this facility, and you wouldn't want that to happen, would you? She has no leverage here. She has absolutely no leverage. She is basically pinned against the wall, and she goes, well, A, providing that you're kind enough to let me go unscathed and alive, and B, providing that anyone actually believes me when I try to identify myself as someone whose body I've just stolen, who doesn't have a record in New York, then I'm going to blackmail you and therefore you should pay me an exorbitant amount of money.
And it just fails anyway, because we actually do get a good line from Roseanne. which is, tell you what, doesn't matter. You've got no way of stopping me. You're not exactly nuns with guns. You're not even armed. And then the cat-nun woman thing basically says, who needs arms when we have claws? Ka-ching! And totally Wolverines her.
Yeah. Which in theory sounds really badass, but in practice is a little bit silly.
Really isn't. Yeah. So anyway, because Roseanne has been foiled, she gets Chip to go to plan B, which involves letting all of the diseased people out, including the doctor.
Yeah. So he's now alive. He's rescued. That's great. But since all of the pods have now opened, all of a sudden, all of these, I think we can say essentially zombies, they come out. Like all of these plague carriers, they come out. And it turns out all they have to do is touch someone for like a second, and immediately they will not only die, they will start exhibiting all of the symptoms of every single disease known to intelligent life.
Yeah, okay.
Because that's how viruses work, I think.
I probably don't need to say this, but I have a problem with this.
Yes. Okay. Would you like to explain what that problem is?
It's multiple.
Okay.
First of all, as you've quite rightly said, that's not how diseases work.
Yeah.
So, because the doctor says one touch and you get every disease in the world.
I feel like if they touch someone, in that case, if they touch someone, that person should just like explode.
Yeah, it's
not like immediately develop boils and then die.
What you're seeing on screen is not matching the words which are being spoken or the idea which is being thought of.
Yeah.
And still, every disease in the world, can we get back to the airborne thing again, please? So anyway, they kill one of the cat people. The cat people are not happy because they're a bit confused about why the zombie plague carriers are actually seemingly having coherent thoughts, because they shouldn't do, because they were just grown. And the building is set into quarantine.
Yeah. And this is pretty cool. We've got a little bit of zombie action. And the Doctor and Cassandra, or Roseanne, and Chip, they run off. They get separated. Chip jumps into some sort of waste management tube. And then Roseanne and the dog, they get back to the exact same spot where Cassandra used to be in the beginning of the episode. Namely, where the psychograph device is located. And the doctor goes, all right, now get out of her body.
Roseanne says, well, I've got nowhere to go. My original skin is dead. Doctor says, couldn't give a shit, really. And basically, we now get Rose as Rose and David Tennant as Cassandra.
Yeah.
Who is now in the doctor's body.
Doctor. No. Dr. Andra. Doxandra? Casocta. Cocta? I don't know. Dr. Cassandra.
Doc-ass.
Doc-ass.
I
like
don't
it.
know anymore.
Fuck it. Dr. Cassandra.
So we have Dr. Cassandra now.
Yeah.
And
I have a question for you.
Go on.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Because I know that this doesn't apply to any of the following, and spoiler alert, there are going to be plenty more body swap, consciousness swap type scenes in this episode, even though there's not much left of this episode, but there are a lot of those scenes left. And I know this doesn't apply to a single one of the future ones. In this one, would you say that she uses the psychograph graph to do so? Or does she, all of a sudden, as is the case in every other consciousness swap scene henceforth, not actually need a fucking psychograph machine anymore?
She doesn't need it anymore.
Why is that the case? How come she can, how the heck can Cassandra transport her consciousness into different bodies without the machine? In fact, let's switch that around. Let's do a body swap on that argument and say, why did she need the machine in the first place?
I could try and rationalize it, but since the episode doesn't bother, I'm not going to.
Okay. I cannot believe that no one picked up on that, or that they picked up on that and just went, no, that's perfectly acceptable. That is not acceptable. That is completely weird.
It actually doesn't make any sense.
No.
Although David Tennant is really enjoying himself as Cassandra.
Oh, he is. He's doing a great job.
Do you know what? I did have a problem with this, and I can't remember what the problem was. Oh! No, I can. It's okay. I can remember now. Okay. Cassandra Doctor turns round, or Dr. Cassandra, says, I'm a man. Yum, so many parts. Let's just go back to End of the World.
Yeah.
And one of the lines that she speaks in End of the World was, she used to be male.
You're right. You're so right. So this isn't new to her.
Nope.
Okay, how long has she been flat?
Not that long, because her last plastic surgery got rid of her last sort of bulges, as it were.
Like the chin or whatever it was.
Yes, it was a chin.
I think.
But either way, she's been having this for years, probably hundreds of years.
Maybe we should go back and rewatch that scene, but maybe it's not that she's experiencing being a man for the first time, because we know that that's not the case. But maybe it's that it's just as she was just completely full of wonderment when she entered Rose's body for the first time. Hot. Then, when she enters Tennant's body for the first time, that's the same thing. Maybe it's just like, holy shit, I haven't been a three-dimensional person for so... I've been just flat for so long. I didn't remember what it was like to... First off, with Rose, she says, to have curves, and she goes, to have such a nice posterior, and like she feels herself up, and isn't that what she says? Like, curves, basically, because she has been flat. And then when she's in the doctor, because it's the first time in centuries that she's been a man as well, maybe that's the thing, like, I'd forgotten what it's like to have testicles, so many bits.
Possibly. Anyway.
But thank you for pointing that out, because I'd completely forgotten it. We
get back to running and climbing and running away from zombies.
Yes, blah, 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 blah. They're climbing up this shaft.
And
all of a sudden... about 4 characters appear below them. So they're climbing up this ladder, right? And I'm pretty sure we even see them from afar. Like, there is no one below them, and I'm sure they would have heard if someone were approaching them. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, one of the cat women touches Rose's leg. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, 3 plague zombies turn up right below the cat nurse. And infect her.
Yes, and basically it's to hurry up the Rose and the Doctor. So...
Yeah, but I also have I have a bone to pick with this scene.
Oh, go on.
Okay, so plague zombies touch the cat. Cat gets all of the plagues, but as Cat gets all the plagues, Cat is also holding on to Rose, but Rose gets no plague.
Yeah, that's a bit of a problem.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we are seriously just picking at tiny little fragments here, but still, I feel like if we don't, then maybe one of you will, and then that one of you is gonna go, why didn't they pick that part? God damn it. Okay, whatever. Right.
They get to the doors, which don't open.
Okay.
And Dr. Cassandra doesn't know how to use a sonic screwdriver because the Doctor has hidden away all of his thoughts. So in order to use a sonic screwdriver to open the doors, Cassandra in the Doctor's body transfers back into Rose at Rose's request.
Yeah, which is tremendously heroic of her.
But now we have Roseanne again, and the Doctor turns round and goes, okay, I'm not opening the bloody door until you get out of
Rose's body.
Rose's body.
So Roseanne goes back into Dr. Cassandra.
And because this is just not working, because they still can't open the bloody door, Cassandra then goes back into one of the women that's climbing up the ladder.
Yeah, exactly. There is no psychograph anywhere nearby, by the way.
Oh no, this is just, we have moved on from the psychograph.
Yeah.
Right, that's gone, right? This is being done by some sort of vast mental power.
Yeah.
So the Doc and Rose have one single line to each other as the Doctor and Rose for the first time.
Yeah.
They get out, the Doctor opens the door, but Cassandra transfers back into Rose again.
Yes, you're right. And as she does that, she goes, as we pointed out before, when she is inside someone else's body, as in when her consciousness is inside someone else's body, she can still tap into some of the memories and thoughts and feelings of that person. And in this case, she goes, this woman that I just entered, she was so lonely, she was in such pain. All she wanted to do was reach out and touch someone, because in her entire life, she had never touched any other human being or any other creature. And that's why they're reaching out and infecting people. Can I ask you a question?
Yes?
Why don't they just hug each other?
Yeah, I don't know that either.
All right, then.
Because that would make some sort of sense.
Yeah.
So they get back to the main ward where the Face of BOE and the petrifold regression guy was.
Yeah.
And we have a cat-nun thing basically protecting everyone in here. The doctor says, no, clean.
Yeah. And now he has a plan.
Well, thank God for small mercies.
Yeah,
So
really? Wait, you're gonna thank someone?
no, I'm thanking that someone has a plan. Unfortunately, the plan is stupid.
Yeah. My note here, by the way, is 35 minutes into this serial, and the solution, in brackets, no pun intended, reduces its rating by at least 2 full points.
The answer, no. You do vitriol and bile better than I do.
No.
You do. Right?
How dare you suggest that? I'm a very positive, jolly fellow, JD.
So, if I was to suggest that the next audiobook review we do is Return to the Web Planet with the Zarbi sound effects in the background,
happily.
or maybe, like a special sort of hell which has Edge of Destruction on a loop.
No, I wouldn't watch that, because that's just shit. But I will happily review Return to the Web Planet with you, because two people are never closer to one another than when they make fun of a third one. And I think Web Planet or Return to the Web Planet, that could just...
Pumpkin.
Yes.
Just what's the solution
to
the viruses?
Sorry. Fine. Okay, fine. The plan is he is now going to take every single cure that they've got, all of these little IV bags, every single one is the color of a different kind of Haribo, by the way. He plops them on his person. There are 6 of them, maybe 7 of them, by the way. He ties them to himself, and the plan is now to plop them into the sprinkler system in the antibacterial shower thing in the lift that we mentioned in the beginning, the disinfectant lift whatever system, and that's then going to cure everyone. But not just that, and we're gonna get to that. And give us 2 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna get to that because this does get a lot dumber.
So let's go with the first problem here.
Okay.
He asks the cat-nun thing to go and get the inoculations to every disease.
Yeah, 7 of them, all 7.
Yeah, that's the first problem. They get a few disinfectant bags, but it's not thousands, which is blatantly what is needed. So let's assume that, because he said thousands, but let's assume he meant 1,000 earlier on in the episode.
Sure.
He'd need 1,000 bags. That's number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2. He puts them into the disinfectant tank of the lift.
Whatever, yeah.
Okay.
He pours them all into the same tank at the same time, together. He mixes them all up, and in this tank there is already some kind of disinfectant, and somehow they don't react to one another.
Correct. But let's forget about that for 1 second.
Okay.
He then takes the lift down and starts bringing all the people who are infected into the lift so he and them can get sprayed. This is where it goes from being bad to being ridiculously stupid.
Yeah.
First of all, that's not how inoculations work.
Yes, very true. These are IV bags, by the way.
Yep, they're not,
They weren't showering all of their patients in this cat hospital.
Nope.
They were giving them IV bags.
Spraying penicillin on someone doesn't cure their disease.
Yeah, but that's not the only thing that it doesn't do. Let's say that you have tonsillitis and I have something else that is normally cured by penicillin. If you take some penicillin, we meet up and we then high five, am I then also automatically cured?
Yeah, that's the next bit which is illogical, which is apparently once they've been sprayed with the virus removal thing, if they go and hug someone who is infected, they pass on the inoculation.
What?
The problem is I can't actually emphasize how actually stupid it is because it won't.
It makes no sense.
It makes no sense at all.
Okay, whatever.
It's stupid.
Yeah, so that happens. Another thing about the patients, by the way, they speak English. Why do they speak English? They have never interacted with anyone before. They were born, raised, and are incinerated or squashed or pulped or whatever it is that happens to them in the end in this little pod. Like, they never interact with anyone.
Yep, and they just managed to speak human, and they're grown, and there's new ones grown every day. Yeah. So these are a day old.
Oh yeah, you're right.
They're just like empty shells, or should be, but apparently they're not. But the Doctor says, I've created a brand new subspecies, a brand new form of life, new humans.
Have new humans been mentioned before in Doctor Who? Or sorry, are they perhaps going to be mentioned later on? I feel like that's a term that is used for something else. I'm looking it up right now, by the way.
No, I don't think so. I think these are the new humans.
Bingo. I've just looked it up on TARDIS Wikia, or data core.
Yeah.
And they appear in New Earth and in Gridlock.
Which is a sequel to this. It's the direct sequel. Yeah.
Okay. No, so I take it back then. Whatever. Let's round this off, dude.
So
the cats are all arrested.
And the Doc and the Face of BOE get a little bit of FaceTime together.
Hey.
You see what I did there?
Yep.
And for some strange reason, the Face of BOE goes, well, I was a bit tired with the universe, but you've taught me to look at it new, so I'm going off somewhere. And we shall meet again, Doctor, for the third and for the last time, and the truth shall be told.
Yeah.
And then
question.
Teleports away for no apparent reason.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. to where? Did he have a spaceship waiting somewhere? Can he just teleport now? I mean, he's telepathic all of a sudden. Can he also just teleport?
Apparently.
Okay. So he says for the third time, for the last time. But what about, okay, I'm assuming that people know who the Face of BOE is. What about all the other times that the Doctor met? Can I say it? Can I spoil it?
Bowface.
Bowface. What about all the other times that the Doctor met Bowface?
Because at this point, Bowface wasn't who Bowface will become.
Okay.
When this was written.
Okay.
That's why.
All right. See, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome. We could have just spoiled it for you. We didn't. So, you should like us on Facebook.
So we've solved all of the problems of the episode with a Deus Ex inoculation.
Yes.
And but we still have Cassandra in Rose.
Yeah, Roseanne. And there is a body available, though, and this body is volunteering itself to host her, namely Chip. Yeah, so she transfers her consciousness, sans psychograph, into his body. This is my very last note here. Sorry, my penultimate note, actually. The guy who plays Chip is awesome, because holy crap, he does such a good job all of a sudden. He does what the Doctor and Rose have done when they've been inhabited by Cassandra's consciousness. But where they've been doing it in a silly fashion, Chip does it in a very serious and dramatic way.
Because Chip is only a half-life. He's not a full human, and he's basically dying.
Yeah.
But the Doctor takes pity on Cassandra in Chip at this point, because...
You mean Chip Sandra?
Chip Sandra, yes. Chip Sandwich.
Chip Sandwich, I like it.
It's like Cassandra is actually seeing the world through new eyes at this point. So the Doctor takes pity on her. And in Chip's body, he takes, through the TARDIS, Chip Cassandra back to
the party.
The point where the party that you saw on the reel-to-reel tape recorder.
Yeah, the party for the Ambassador of Thrace.
And you see Cassandra as Zoe Wanamaker, finally, and how nice Cassandra is at this point.
Yeah.
Because she is so caring for this guy who she's never met, who all he does is call her beautiful.
Yeah.
She goes, it's all right. I don't know your name. I think he's dying. We'll try and help you. She's being so nice, so different from the Cassandra we know from the past two episodes, that it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to end on. Because we don't end on the Doctor and Rose. We end on Cassandra holding Cassandra in Chip's body.
Yeah.
And saying that. And I actually really love the ending. I think it's really, really good.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely agree. And that's it. That is it. End of episode. Reviews. Okie dokie.
Okay. This is a hard thing to review. I love bits of this. I love the ending. I think the ending is amazing. But I dislike cat-nuns. I love any of the body swap comedy because, frankly, David Tennant and Billie Piper are acting their little hearts out. I hate the virus zombies. I think Chip is played brilliantly by Sean Gallagher. You know, he does an amazing job.
Before?
Not in Doctor Who, he's actually from Coronation Street.
Oh, another one.
Yep, another one.
Okay.
Chip's amazing. Chip is absolutely amazing. Inoculation, bag, solving, problem, stupid. I cannot, in all justification, give this episode a high mark because the main thrust of the episode is meant to be the zombies, and they are cured in such a ridiculously stupid way that makes the Peter Capaldi episode of Kill the Moon, with the moon turning into a giant egg, basically scientific in comparison. And that's saying something.
Yeah.
That I can't give it more than a 3 at the very maximum. Because the entire plot line of that just fails on every single level conceivable. But saying that,
yeah,
I'm giving it a 3. Because every single other bit in this episode... Are you okay?
Yeah, no, I'm trying to wrap my head around this. You just gave it a 3.
I'm giving it a 3.
Okay.
Because the entire subplot, if you remove it and just limit the episode to the 20 minutes of body swap comedy, you get a 3.
Yeah.
And then everything else gives you a 0. So it's a 3. I think Cassandra, Zoe Wanamaker, Sean Gallagher, Billy Piper, and David Tennant, brilliant. I think the chemistry between Tennant and Piper is already on form, although David Tennant is nowhere near as good as he will become.
Oh, okay.
I'm giving it a 3.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, I feel like I'm in a weird situation right now, because before we started recording this review, I was going to give this a 3.5, and I was thinking, okay, it doesn't matter how dumb some of the plot twists are, I still really enjoyed it. I think it just has such energy, this whole story, it just has so much energy, and we have the return of familiar characters, one familiar face in particular, as we said, and for that reason, holy crap, loved this episode. I wanted to give it a 3.5. Then we recorded the episode up until before you did your review, and we spent, an hour and 20 minutes. I don't know what the final edit's going to be, but we've spent an hour and 20 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, talking shit about this episode. And as a consequence, I then wanted to go below 3, in fact. I wanted to give this a 2.9, just symbolically, because, spoiler alert, we just recorded The Beast of Orlok, and I gave that 2.8, and I wanted to give this more than Beast of Orlok, but I wanted to give it less than 3. So I wanted to give it a 2.9. But now you just gave your review. I'm really pleased that you gave your review first, JD, because you gave extra emphasis to the fact that the body swap comedy is so funny. And I'll underline something else that is a very valid element of the body swap comedy, or I guess we could call it the body swap comedy, the consciousness, whatever, transmigration. These actors are suddenly allowed to just play. They are allowed to do things that are silly and wacky and fun, and to impersonate each other, which I can only imagine how much fun they must have had off screen, like in between takes. They must have just had so much fun pretending to be each other. I would have loved to have seen that. So thank you for pointing that out, JD, because now I'm raising it. First a higher mark than you, then a lower mark than you, now I'm back to a higher mark than you. I do want to point out a few things, though. This plot makes so little sense. And I stand by what I said when I read out my note. 35 minutes into this episode, all of a sudden, the resolution of this show, is so illogical that it cuts down the potential rating for this show. Like, imagine what you would have thought of this episode if they had cured the new humans in a different way. Like, let's say they pumped everything into the same system, but instead of it being the sprinkler elements of the lift, it pumped it into the sprinkler system of the hospital, and everyone was doused in some sort of miracle juice. Already with just that minor change, this episode would have been a lot better. What else? Cat people. Fuck 'em. What else? Cassandra. Love her. What else? Face of BOE. We neglected to mention he now speaks with an English accent for some reason. Doesn't matter. Love him. I'm gonna give this episode I feel so schizophrenic jumping between ratings. I'm gonna give this episode a 3.2. Boom.
It was a hard one to rate. I think it was definitely a hard one to rate because...
It's so bad, but so enjoyable.
The thing is that I think that the solution to the episode made us have this problem. And you're right. Your review is perfectly right. Any other solution any other solution to this episode would have been better.
Pump it into the system that otherwise feeds them diseases. Make it feed them cures instead.
Yes, that would have been absolutely perfect, because we didn't then need to see 6 bags dropped into a disinfectant tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's the thing is that if it wasn't for the body swap comedy, we would be zarbying this episode right now.
Possibly. Yeah. It's got cat people. Like, what else can we do? But, yeah. All right.
Listener minis.
And our listener mini for this episode comes from Debbie Collington. Debbie! How you doing?
She can't answer you. She's not on the recording.
The look of skepticism on JD's face a moment ago, Debbie. The look. Okay, Debbie goes. The joys of the NHS. This episode has everything. Action, comedy, body swapping, and cat-nun-nurses. This cautionary tale penned by Russell T. Davis appears to be a light-hearted romp at the start, but it is soon apparent that all is not as it seems.
She continues, old friends return in the form of Cassandra, again paid with aplomb by the awesome Zoe Wanamaker, and the enigmatic Face of BOE. Mind you, when in later series you learn about the true identity of the Face of BOE, having him surrounded by cat women seems to make perfect sense. Sorry about that. Actually, that is really good point when you do find out who it is.
It does, yeah, I hadn't considered that.
Cat-nun-nurses makes more sense.
Oh... Yep. Okay, alright. She goes on. There were several places that did make me laugh. Billie Piper is clearly enjoying herself taking on the Cassandra persona. But the line, "Oh my god, I'm a chav," is one of the things that start to date the episode. At first the villain seems to be Cassandra, but when the truth is revealed about the hospital, Russell tries to bring in a dark secret of medical ethics gone horribly, horribly wrong. The grand reveal of the horrific truth behind the hospital is very well done, but there was something about the pustulant zombies that rang hollow for me. All that shambling zombie walking put me off a little. It made them seem less human, more shuffling trope.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think, can you do the next paragraph of Debbie's as well, please? Just the next one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, alright, here we go. She goes on! So, the positives. Performances from the first minute where you see... Oh, you bastard. JD, you son of a bitch. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, JD is doing a dance. Okay, the following is not my opinion, it is the opinion of Debbie Collington. From the first minute where you see Noel Clarke acting without saying a word. That look he gives as Rose goes into the TARDIS says 100 things. David Tennant is settling in nicely now, and Billie Piper pulls in a very strong performance, not only as Rose, but as Cassandra. The costumes are excellent. The prosthetics of the cats are seamless, and the design of the sisterhood very strong and striking. The design of the other patients is also well realized and excellently executed. I can only agree with you, by the way, on what you said after your Noel Clarke comments. I can only disagree with you with what you said up until that point of this paragraph.
And Debbie concludes with, however, this episode seems unsure of what it wants to be. You can have contrasts between suspense and humour, but it could have been done better on this occasion. Also, the music, especially at the start, was just too loud. I found it detracted rather than enhanced the opening scenes on New Earth. Some of the CGI disease effects were not too good either. It also marks a start in the Rose Doctor flirting thing, which I was never a fan of. She also brings up a very good point with how did Cassandra talk, whereas her larynx? Still can't work that bit out. Overall, a good episode that I enjoyed watching again, but with some niggles. And she concludes giving it a 3.8 Noel Clarks out of 5.
Oh, how dare you. Do not try to ruin this rating system for me, JD. Debbie, thank you so much for a fantastic review. Really, really good review. The whole Cassandra talking thing, yeah, I think we discussed that in our End of the World review, and if we didn't, we really should have, so thank you for pointing that out. It makes no sense. She's a trampoline hooked up to a brain. Whatever. Yeah, creepy character. Very good character, I think, though. People who are not Debbie, what are you gonna do? Yeah, that's right. You're gonna follow her on Twitter. I'm glad that you said that. She is at Absinthe Kiss.
Would you believe it's been very nearly a year since we met at the Doctor Who 50th?
You're right.
Nearly November.
You're very right.
I know. It seems so long ago.
I know. We've been through a lot, man.
Oh, we have. So, that was New Earth. Join us next time, either on Classic or Audio Who, or on New Who, when we will be taking a look at Tooth and Claw. If you're not me, you can follow me on Twitter. I am at Marius Kane.
That is Kane with a K. And you can follow me as well. I am at Ponken.
Ponken, Pumpkin.
Thank you, JD. Thank you so much for listening. Be rad and excellent to each other. Catch you in the next episode. Ciao.
It's been wonderful.
Kablamo! Did you enjoy the show? Then please do what the cosmos compels you to and spread the gospel of Who Back When. Tell your friends. Don't have any friends? No problemo. Tell some strangers. Like us on Facebook. That's facebook.com/Who Back When. All in one word. Are you on Google+? Then find us on Google+. That's plus Who Back When. And when you do, tell us why you're on Google+. Who Back When just got its very own Twitter account. No lie. So give us a follow. You guessed it. That's @WhoBackWhen. All in one word. Check us out on SoundCloud, vote us up on Reddit, listen to us on Stitcher, and head on over to our website, whobackwhen.com, where you can leave a comment, submit a review of your own, and peruse our visual index of aliens, monsters, and more, which increases in kablamos with every episode. And lastly, give us a rating and review on iTunes. Not only would it make us super chuffed, and it really, really would, but as thanks, we will transmigrate your iTunes nom de plume into the credit list of trailers for fake Doctor Who audiobooks produced by Who Back When. Have a poke around our bonus episodes to make more sense of that. That's it. Rock on and be rad and excellent to each other. Catch your earballs in our next Classic Who review, New Who review, or, still funny, Audio Who review. Ciao.
Who Back When?